The Scions start their journey by heading towards Limsa Lominsa to get on a ship heading towards Old Sharlayan. On the ship, Hydaelyn speaks to you face to face, telling you that she no longer has the power to call you to her realm anymore, and explaining that when you finally understand what is at stake, she will honor the promise she made. Then she leaves, leaving you confused about the promise she's talking about. But you don't get a chance to think about it because you've arrived at Sharlayan. When the Scions step off the boat, they're greeted by Cryo using the excuse that they'll be her assistants, hiding the fact that they're the Scions of the 7th Dawn. They split up to do their own things while Cryo gives you a tour of the city. After finishing your tour of the city, everyone meets in the Baldesion Annex, which will be your base of operations in Sharlayan. At this meeting, Cryo explains that there are two ways to gather information to stop Fandaniel and Xenos' forces, the Telophoroi. The first option is to investigate the change in Sharlayan and the bizarre behavior of the Forum, the 99 elected officials that make up the Sharlayan government. And the second option is to go to Thavnir to help an alchemist named Nadana to help her deal with a tower that has risen there and a lunar primal that came out of it. But Y'shtola thinks that both are just as important as the other, so everyone leaves it up to you to decide which issue to tackle first. You decide to investigate Sharlayan with Alphinaud, Alizé, G'raha, Y'shtola, and Cryo first before going to Thavnir. But your combined research gets you nowhere until Alizé notices that the Gleaners, the people who do the grunt work for the Sharlayan government, are bringing unusually large shipments to Labrinthos, an underground Sharlayan complex that stores various animals and plant life from all over the world. So everyone except for G'raha goes to Labrinthos to investigate. Your group gets to the lower levels of Labrinthos after helping a gleaner named Erenvale who tells you about an alternate way down. When you get to the lower level, you find a flower called Elpis that changes colors based on the emotions in the people near them. After this, your comrades find you and you all find Erenvale, who's on his way to a meeting with a forum member, and your group follows him. In this meeting, you find out that Sharlayan was given an important task, and now that the final days are coming, they have to complete that task. After getting this information, you look for Cryo, who has gone missing. You end up finding her near the Elpis flowers, where she gives you one. Then she's possessed by Hydaelyn. She explains that her power is fading fast and that the flower will be your guide. After this, Forshanu finds your group and explains that the forum has an issue with the presence of the Scions in Sharlayan, and that G'raha was caught reading books in the restricted section of the library. So all of you are brought before the forum of Sharlayan to plead your case and to see if you can stay in the city. But before the forum comes to a decision, G'raha reveals that he knows that 270 years ago that Sharlayan stopped preserving knowledge for the benefit of society, but reshaped society to preserve knowledge. Around the time they started researching the Ethereal Sea, one forum member tries to say something but is stopped by an invisible force. After this, the forum decides that the Scions can stay in Sharlayan on the condition that they stop investigating the forum's actions. After this, you and the twins visit House Levier at the request of their mother, and they get new outfits. After this, you go to Thavnir with Estinian, Thancred, and Urianger. After looking around and meeting new people like the fish merchant Masia, who helps you find the people you're looking for, your group arrives at a village called the Great Work, just as Varashan delivers a new set of dragon scales to the alchemists so they can continue working. Estinian finds this suspicious, but Varashan explains that they have an alliance with the dragon in Thavnir, so Estinian drops it. After this, you meet Nadana and you help her complete her talisman that can nullify tempering. So you and her get on a boat to approach the tower to the entrance, but just when you want to leave, she gets pulled into the tower and you chase after her, only to get there too late and you find out that Fandaniel is the one doing this. In your conversation with him, he explains that people within the towers aren't dead and that he was originally named Amon, an elegant scientist who served King Xandi. Eventually, he was recruited into the Ascians, gaining the knowledge of the person he used to be, but felt like they were never a part of who he was. Then you get a vision of his life within the Allegan Empire. Then he escapes. So from this point forward, I'll be referring to this person as Amon. Afterwards, Varashan explains that you're invited to meet the ruler of Radz-at-Han, the satrap. In this meeting, the Scions find out that the satrap is just a figurehead for the real ruler. Vitra is the child of Midgard and the sibling of other First Brood dragons like Raceverger and Tiamat. In this meeting, he explains that Radz-at-Han is just a puppet that houses his other eye so he can monitor the state of Radz-at-Han without scaring the people. Then he asks for the Scions to destroy the tower in Thavnir in exchange for as many warding talismans as they want. So you four go back to Sharlayan to discuss this plan with the rest of your comrades. The Scions decide to split into two teams. One team will ease the suffering of the people inside the tower, consisting of Grahar, Urianger, Cryo, and Y'shtola, while the rest of the Scions will look for the core and destroy it, bringing down the tower. After this, they succeed in their plan and save the people inside. So the Scions have a meeting with Vitra where he thanks them for saving his people and tells them that he doesn't know anything about the final days. After this, the Scions go to get the warding talismans, but you stay behind to talk to Vitra, where he tells you to protect your friends no matter what. After this, you join your friends and decide to directly attack Garlemald to stop the towers at their source. So the Scions split up to bring this idea to their allies around the world. But before you leave, Nadana thanks all of you and explains the concept of Akasha after seeing the Elpis tower. She tells the Scions that Akasha is the energy or essence influenced by feeling that cannot be controlled like Aether. After this, you go back to Sharlayan and the game cuts away to show us that Amon and Xenos are in Garlemald. Then the game goes back to the Scions where you talk to Montague, the friend of Alisaie, Alphanode, and Cryo's respective grandfathers, where he explains that he can't discuss the duty of the Forum unless all 99 members agree to undo the spell placed upon every Forum member. After this, you and some of the Scions go to Limsa to meet with Consena, Melvib, and Nanamo, where they ask the Scions to help the Isilbald contingent destroy the main tower in Garlemald and help the Garlean civilians, and they agree. After this, every Scion except for Cryo goes to Alamigo to meet the Isilbald contingent, which is made up of some of the best warriors and people from every nation the Scions have helped so far. When the Isilbald contingent gets to Garlemald, they quickly make a camp at a settlement they name Camp Broken Glass. Afterwards, you, Alisaie, and Alphino go to the base of the First Legion with a Garlean soldier named Ulysses who was caught trying to steal your supplies. When you three get to the base, you try to negotiate with the leader of the First Legion, Lord Quintus, to get his soldiers and the civilians there some help, but due to his pride, he declines the offer. Then he puts shot callers on Alisaie and Alphino to take them as hostages while they're at his base. In the meantime, while you help the Garleans, Dankrid contacts you and lets you know that the Isilbald contingent knows the situation you three are in, and he tells you to play along for a little longer. After returning to the base, Quintus tells you that he wants all of the Isilbald contingent's supplies and one airship, and that the twins will stay at his base until his demands are fulfilled. So you and Ulysses go to Camp Broken Glass to deliver this news, but soon after you get there, your allies rescue the twins. Then Lucia subdues Ulysses and his comrades by giving them the news that the rest of the Garlemald legions have requested aid from the Grand Company of Eorzea to deal with the towers. After getting this news, Quintus disbands the First Legion, ordering them to do whatever they want. Then he takes his own life. Following this, a giant scream comes from the Tower of Babel, which tempers everyone that doesn't have a warding talisman. In the middle of this chaos, Amon teleports you away from the battlefield and knocks you out. When you wake up, your soul is in another body sitting across from Xenos. In this conversation, Amon and Xenos explain that the Tower of Babel is connected to all of the towers around the world, absorbing their energy so they can free Zodiark and start the final days, and that they're tempering people to serve Garlemald by channeling their will through Varus's corpse, which they call Anima. After this, Xenos takes your body and challenges you to get back to Camp Broken Glass before he slaughters your friends, and you do. After getting your body back, you tell everyone what you learned. So the Scions enter the Tower of Babel and destroy Anima, stopping the towers around the world. But before they can celebrate, Amon and Xenos use the energy they collected to nearly break Zodiark's prison, but it isn't enough, so they go to the moon to break the last seal. However, as they leave, Hydaelyn shows up in Cryo's body and changes their course so they can't break the last seal immediately. So you and the Scions Scions split up, with you going to the moon and them handling things in Garlemald. But before you get to the moon, I want you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video, and if you want to see more like it on top of the video essays I make as well. But with that being said, let's get back to the moon. When you get to the moon, you arrive at Mare Lamentorum and meet the Watcher, Hydaelyn's creation that watches over the moon and Zodiac. They explain that the shades you see walking around are the remains of the Ascians that sacrificed themselves to summon Zodiac, and that if Zodiac is destroyed, their souls will be exterminated as well. So you go around getting rid of them until you run into a golden dog who leads you to a giant group of shades who begin to overwhelm you until Hythlodaeus calls them off. You explain the situation to him and he tells you that he's on your side, but you're interrupted by the arrival of Amon and Xenos, who breaks the last seal. But at the last moment, Amon betrays Xenos and takes the power of Zodiac for himself. So with no other choice, you fight the Amon-controlled Zodiac and you win. But this is what Amon wanted you to do. He explains that by killing Zodiac, you have started to unweave reality and have begun the final days. You hear a strange voice and you get a vision of the world being consumed by darkness. After this, Xeno leaves to find another power for his last fight with you. Then you head back to Mare Lamentorum, where Thancred, Y'shtola, and Urianger are waiting for you. This is where the Watcher explains that in the original final days, the Ascians' thoughts of despair gave rise to monsters through the Ascians' creation magic, and that the moon is a giant ship for the people of Etheirys, the world Final Fantasy XIV takes place on, just in case the final days cannot be stopped. After this, the Watcher leads your group to Argos, the golden dog you met earlier. Argos takes your group to meet the crew of this giant ship, the Loporrits. After getting over their initial shock, your group talks to the leader of the Loporrits, Livingway, who explains that Hydaelyn created them to escort the people from Etheirys to a new planet if the final days happen again. Then she asks your group's opinion on how prepared they are for the people of Etheirys to come to the moon. So this leads to a couple of fun moments, but you tell them that the ship and its facilities are practical but aren't ready for the variety of people that could come from Etheirys. So after getting this news, Urianger decides to stay on the moon to help the Loporrits prepare in case things go wrong on Etheirys. But before your group leaves, the Watcher tells you to remember the name Elpis, and with that, you, Thancred, and Y'shtola go back to Sharlayan. This is where the forum reveals its duty to everyone in Sharlayan. They explain that 270 years ago, their ancestors met Hydaelyn and she warned them about the final days. Then they tell everyone they're building a ship to go to the moon, so with that, the Great Exodus will begin. And lastly, Forshanu will be leading this endeavor. The next day, the final days begin in Thavnir, and they request the aid of the Scions. Immediately after getting there, the Scions find out that the people's fears are turning them into these monsters called blasphemies. Then the Scions go to Venspati to deal with the strongest blasphemy on the island. After dealing with this blasphemy, they find out that there is no way to save the people who transform. Then they talk to Vitra, who says that he will do what he must to protect his people, and Estinian joins him in the sky. After this, the rest of you go to Radz-at-Han to calm the people, but in the middle of this chaos, the satrap is killed, causing many people to turn into blasphemies. Then Matzia reappears because a village named Palakastan needs help. So the Scions split up, with you, Alphanode, and Alizé going to the village with Matzia. Upon reaching Palakastan, Matzia finds out that the couple who helped get his fishing business off the ground is missing, so we look for them. Unfortunately, we can't find them in time, but we save their baby. So you and the twins hold off the blasphemies while Matzia gets the baby back to the village. However, they get cornered, so he and the baby start falling to despair until Estinian and Vitra save them. Then Vitra calms down the baby and learns about the satrap's death. This inspires him to reveal himself to the people of Radz-at-Han and rule his kingdom openly. Following this, the forum led by Forshanu offers the people of Thavnir passage to the moon and sanctuary in Sharlayan for the time being. Vitra accepts his proposal, saying that his people are free to choose whatever they want. After this, Nadana tells the Scions that she believes the final days and the blasphemies are using the power of Akasa, the energy influenced by emotion. After this, Vitra sets up a personal banquet to thank the Scions. At this dinner, the Scions don't know what to do next until you bring up Elpis and how the Watcher told you to remember that word. Then G'raha recommends you go back to the first so you can ask Elpis about the word Elpis, revealing that when you defeated the Ascian near the end of Shadowbringers, he trapped Elpis within the White Ursite from the Crystal Tower on the first, slowly killing him, meaning that a small portion of his mind may still remain. So you go to the Crystal Tower on the first and call upon Elpis. In your conversation with him, you explain everything that has happened and ask him about the name Elpis. He tells you that Elpis wasn't just a flower but a place, and that the original Amon, Hermes, was the leader of Elpis, and he was the reason why the Ascians found out about the final days and had enough time to create Zodiac. After this, Elpis uses the last of his power to send you back in time to Elpis when Hermes was in charge to see if you can find the answers you need, and with this, Elpis passes away. As soon as you arrive in Elpis, you meet a young Emetselk and Hyplodeus. You explain that you're looking for Hermes like they are, so you join them. You quickly find Hermes and one of his creations, Meteion. After this, everyone has a meeting when the main topic of discussion is Hermes joining the convocation. But Hermes is hesitant because if he joins, he will essentially be signing his predecessor's death warrant, because in Ascian society, most people don't die due to old age or conflict. They willingly enter the ethereal sea of their own choosing after fulfilling their life's purpose, and there is no higher honor than serving on the convocation of 14. This conversation disturbs Meteion, so you take her outside. In your small adventure with Meteion, you find out that she can feel the feelings of others, communicate directly through feelings, which is like telepathy, and she hasn't developed a personality or moral compass of her own yet, but it is clear she cares about Hermes. After this, your entire group follows Hermes doing his duties until you find Elpis flowers. Then Hermes tells you about the energy called Dynamis, and you realize it is the same thing as Akasa. So from this point forward, I will call this energy Dynamis. Then we find out Meteion can draw upon this energy as well, which explains why she is susceptible to others' emotions. After this, your group continues monitoring Hermes, and you begin to realize Hermes wouldn't start the final days on purpose. After this, you, Emetselk, and Hyplodeus leave Hermes to make his final decision. In your travels, your group runs into Vana, and she immediately figures out that you're from the future, so you explain everything to them. After this, Emetselk runs off, not being able to handle what you said, and Hyplodeus runs after him. So you and Vana investigate how Hermes and Meteion tie into the final days. You two find out that Hermes had released Meteion's sisters into space on a small island in the distance, so Vana summons Argos so you and her can travel to the island, and this explains why Argos helps you on the moon in the present. So Vana uses the Aether on this island to see what Hermes was doing. We find out that Hermes sent Meteion's sisters into space to see what other people and societies live for, and if there is a meaning to life. You rejoin Emetselk and Hyplodeus to tell Hermes about the future. He believes you and guesses that Dynamis is the root cause of the final days, but he doesn't understand what is the source of the Dynamis, explaining that the negative emotions have to come from somewhere else. However, Meteion starts acting weird, getting blasted by a giant amount of negative emotion from the hive mind she shares with her sisters. After this, she runs away from all of you, begging you to stay away, but you eventually catch her. The hive mind takes over Meteion's body, explaining that the planets Meteion's sisters went to were devoid of life due to various reasons. This is when Emetselk points out that Hermes' question of what others live for is flawed, explaining that if Meteion's sisters couldn't find a planet with life on it, they would believe that life isn't worth living. On top of feeling all of the negative emotions limitations these dead planets still have due to Dynamis. So Emet-Selch recommends they use Meteion to bring her sisters back and destroy her. But Hermes wants to hear her full report, so he takes her to Kittis Hyboria. So you, Emet-Selch, Hyplodeus, and Vana fight your way to Hermes and defeat him. After the battle, Hermes tries to wipe the memories of the last week from everyone's mind by suppressing their aether, while Meteion escapes, joining her sisters who have been overwhelmed by the despair they've seen throughout the universe. But then she proclaims that they will save everyone from suffering by ending all life within the universe. But before Hermes can finish his plan, you and Vana escape, meaning that Hyplodeus, Emet-Selch, and Hermes will forget about this week and you until they pass away and regain those memories upon death. After this, you part ways with Vana and you go back to the present while she does her best within the past, eventually becoming Hydaelyn. After this, you go to Garlemald to help the Scions, the Isilbard contingent, and the cured Garlean soldiers led by Ulyss to fight off the blasphemies attacking people trying to get to the moon. After the battle ends, Fortunu offers the Scions a ride back to Camp Broken Glass. At the camp, Alphinaud makes a deal with his father to stop interfering in the Forum's plans. In exchange, the Forum will tell the Scions everything. After this, Urianger returns with some of the Loporrits who have come down to Aetheris to help and learn about the world. Then everyone goes back to Sharlayan, where you tell them everything you learned about in Elpis. But you still need to find out where Meteion is and how to get there. Afterwards, the Scions have a meeting with the Forum where they hear a full explanation of their plan, but the ship that is supposed to carry people to the moon isn't fast enough and the Forum can't figure out how to improve it. So Alphinaud makes another deal with the Forum, saying that the Scions will improve the ship's speed, but in exchange, the Scions get to use the ship for their own reasons, and the Forum lets them meet Hydaelyn. The Forum agrees to this, so Fortunu takes the Scions to meet the head engineer, Coco Denko. He tells the Scions that he needs supplies and materials from around the world, so Alphinaud calls upon their allies from all over the world to bring these things to Sharlayan. In the meantime, you help the people of Labrinthos until your allies arrive. After seeing the massive impact the Scions have had on the world, Fortunu gives his full support to his children and the Scions. Then he invites the Scions to meet Hydaelyn. He explains that they have to dive deep within the ethereal sea by using the Attoscope to meet her, and they do. In their conversation with Hydaelyn, she explains that there are two paths: abandon Aetheris and find a new home, or defeat Meteion and the despair she holds. The Scions choose to fight the despair and save Aetheris, so Hydaelyn challenges them, promising to show them where Meteion is if they defeat her, but if they lose, they have to run away. But as always, the Scions win. Then Hydaelyn gives you a crystal containing a log of Meteion's travels through the universe. Then she gives you the Mother Crystal to power the ship so you can get to Meteion. And lastly, she gives you the power to weave reality, but explains that you can only use it a few times, so don't waste it. After that, with her work being finished, Venat passes away. Following this, the Scions get a good rest, then they use the Sharlayan spaceship Ragnarok to get to Ultima Thule, a collection of dead planets. But as you're traveling, Meteion attacks your ship and makes everyone pass out. When the Scions wake up, Thancred is missing and they're somehow able to breathe in this place. As you explore this area, Meteion appears to the Scions again, explaining that Thancred sacrificed himself so the rest of your group could breathe here, and is preventing Meteion and her sisters from destroying your physical form. After this, the Scions figure out that they have to confront the biggest form of despair in each area of Ultima Thule to move forward towards the real body of despair. But this requires that they sacrifice their bodies in the process, with Estinian becoming a wind to clear the way, Urianger and Y'shtola becoming a portal to teleport you, G'raha transforming into a crystal path to the last area, and lastly, Alisaie and Alphinaud become a stairway of light, lifting you to the last platform, leaving you alone. When you get to the last platform, Meteion tries to make you give up, but instead, you use the power to weave reality to summon Emet-Selch and Hyplodeus. They help you summon a field of Elpis flowers, showing Meteion that even in Ultima Thule, which is a land filled with despair, despair, broken dreams, and so many souls wishing for death, the universe still has hope. This allows Meteion to break away from her sister's hive mind and the despair they've collected. And while this is happening, you summon your friends back to your side. Then Meteion begs you to end their song of oblivion and stop them. After this, Emet-Selch and Hythlodaeus pass away for the last time. Following this, the Scions enter the true form of Meteion's sisters, seeing some of the worst planets they visited as Meteion leads you towards the core. When you get to the core, the Scions meet the Endsinger, an amalgamation of Meteion's sisters, the souls begging for death, and the dynamis they've generated. The Endsinger overwhelms your comrades, so you send them away to fight it alone, until your best friend Xenos comes to help you, explaining that he made a deal with Cryo to help you if she gave him your location, and he ate the rest of the Mother Crystal to regain his Shinryu form. After this, you defeat the Endsinger while riding on Xenos' back. Then you reach out to Meteion, showing her that even if life is fleeting, it is still worth living, inspiring her to sing a song of hope that will use the power of the worlds lost to sorrow to create life once again, hoping that one day Hermes can see this and smile. After this, Meteion tries to lead you back to Ragnarok, but before that, you have your final duel with Xenos, and you defeat him for the final time. Unfortunately, you're on the verge of death, but the device you use to send your friends back to the ship falls near you and takes you back to Ragnarok. So you and the rest of the Scions go back to Aetheris. After a small time skip, we find out that the Scions will be disbanding on paper so people will stop relying on them so much, but will return if the problem is big enough. And that is the end of Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, and the first saga of Final Fantasy XIV. With that being said, if you want to see more timeline videos like this one, or video essays like the one on screen, like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on. But with that being said, it's been Skipx, and I'm out.